And what you're going to see is we have the circle. We have a bunch of little things going on inside of it with chords and a couple of radii. What I'm asking you to find first is the measure of LN, and then notice how we have this arc over the top. So what that is asking you to find is this here. This is the arc. The arc is always kind of the circle itself, that portion of the circle. So one of the things we dealt with yesterday was called a central angle. So if we look at our circle, here is the center. We have this, too big, we have that 110 degree angle that's right here. And notice what that angle is created by. It's created by this line segment that goes out to the circle, this line segment that goes out to the circle. Not only do those two line segments make this angle, they also make this arc. So using those two segments, this angle, this arc, this is a central angle. And what we said yesterday is whatever the central angle is, the degree measure of the arc is the exact same thing. So the measure of arc LN is also 110 degrees. That was one of our little rules from yesterday. Letter B. I then want you to find the measure of angle OLN. This was our second rule from yesterday. So find angle OLN. I change colors. O to L to N is then this angle right here, this blue angle. Notice what creates that blue angle. It is this chord here, and then this chord here. That's what creates this blue angle. Notice how those also intersect the circle here and then here, creating an arc as well. So it creates an angle and it creates an arc along the circle. What we talked about yesterday, central angles have the same degree measure. So that was the first one. If this is 110, this had to be 110. This is called an inscribed angle, is what we called it with definitions, because it's on top of the circle. And what we said about an inscribed angle is the degree measure of the inscribed angle is 1/2. So if we look at this arc here, it is 1/2 of the degree measure of the arc that it creates. So if those two segments create a 165 degree arc, then this angle has to be half of that. So that would be 82.5 degrees. We're still using those two rules for all of these questions, but you're going to find here in a minute it's a little bit harder. There are different ways that we can kind of test you on old ideas as well and put a lot of these ideas together to make you think a little bit, which is a good thing long term. All right, letter C. First time we've asked you this. Find letter C. See what you think. What is the measure of arc OL? First time we've asked you to do this. However, don't think that means it's hard. You hopefully can do this. Let me shade in what we're looking for. Actually, I don't want to shade it in. Just see what you think before I tell you what we're doing. See if you can find that guy. Okay, Amy, got that? All right, what do you think, Jake? 2. Yes, good. Jake says 85. That is correct. How'd you get that, Jake? All right, so at home he said he added 110 and 165. So basically he added the yellow arc and the blue arc to get 275. All right. Good. And then what he said here is he knows the full degree measure around a circle is 360. Aren't we just missing one piece of this? So if this is what we are looking for, he added up the blue and the yellow together to get the 275, and then he just took the full amount of 360, subtracted what we knew already. Whatever remains then had to have been the purple section that we were then looking for. So that then has to be 85 degrees. All right. Common question. We're going to see that one a lot today, so first time seeing it. Once you've seen it, hopefully then that's something that you can now use and access later on. All right, next one. A little more complicated of a picture. Still the same rules that we just used in number 1 and that we used yesterday. So find the measure of arc EH. So arc EH. A little trickier. See what you think. I'll give you a minute to see if we could kind of problem solve, think a little bit, work our way around. EH basically is right here. What is the measure, degree measure of that arc right there? All right. Anybody with a thought on this one? Jake? And why do you think that?
I did 55 or 155.
Okay, so he said he did 155 plus 50. So let's talk about why we can do that. We know this degree measure is 155, so that's set. You weren't given this one flat out. We didn't tell you what this is, but if we apply that whole idea, isn't this a central angle right here? And doesn't a central angle have the same degree measure as the arc? So if I know this was a 50-degree angle, that actually then tells me this arc uses up 50 of the total of 360 degrees. Once we have that, same thing we did on the left-hand side, doesn't the yellow, blue, and purple all have to add up to be 360 degrees because that gets us all the way around the circle? So he did 360. Let's just subtract away the 50. Let's subtract away the 155. Whatever remains from that has to be what's left over for this purple section. All right, what'd you get, 155? Yeah, and then that should be 155 degrees. And now we know this is 155. So again, full circle, 360 degrees total. Next one, easy. So answer letter B. All right, and Brooke, what do you think, Brooke? EHG, that arc, what's that have to be? Yes, 205. Here's E. We have to go around to H, so that's the 155. We need to finish at G, so we're just adding the blue and the purple together. Should be 205. C, also, should be nice. It's just a more complicated picture. Find angle GEH. Clean this up a little bit. So angle GEH is this guy right here. Think about what angle that is. Is that a central angle or is that an inscribed angle? Center angle means it has to be in the center. Clearly that one is not. So this is an inscribed angle. Isn't this angle always 1/2 of the arc that it creates? So look at the arc that it creates. It extends out to here. It extends out to here. The arc that we create here is the blue one. And if that blue arc is 50, this has to be 1/2 of it. All right, so this is 25 degrees. All right, then D, yeah, if you can't do D, you have big problems. So write down letter D. Big problems. Who do I put the pressure on and ask this question to? I'm going to go Alexis. Don't blow this, Alexis. So what is angle GFH? No, it is just 50. Yes. Yes. That's why it's hard to miss that one. Okay, that one's just given to us. GFH, you're told that's a 50-degree angle. Okay. So probably an unnecessary question right there. All right, number 3, another step up here, another little notch in difficulty. Nothing crazy. See if you could find letter A. What is the measure of angle KMS? So we want this angle right here. What is the degree measure of this guy? You'll have to think something we haven't talked about today, but we have talked about in the past. Okay. This one I won't call on anybody because it's a little trickier. We haven't talked about what we need to talk about, at least not yet today. Look at the segment drawn from K to S. Notice how it's going through the dot. That dot indicates that this is the center of the circle. So when I connect K to S here, remember how that is what we call a diameter? The diameter cuts your circle in half. So what that means is if this is cutting it in half, if there's 360 degrees around a circle in its entirety and we cut that in half, doesn't this blue arc then from K through S, doesn't that have to be 1/2 of 360 degrees? It's got to be 180. If we then understand that, know what angle you're dealing with here. This is an inscribed angle. It's on the circle. If I extend out those two segments, those two chords, not only does it create this angle, it also creates that 180-degree arc. So Alexis, what does this have to be? Yeah. Inscribed angles are always 1/2 of the arc that they create. So that has to be a 90-degree angle. You're going to use that in number 4, this whole little idea that it's a diameter right through the center. Okay, so you want to file that one away as well. You're going to need to use that idea moving along as well. B, MSK. So find angle MSK. This, crossing my fingers. Actually do the next two because I think B and C should be nice. Letter B is no work, really. I think you could probably do this in your head without having to write anything down, without having to really think of anything. MSK is right here. We go M to S to K. That's this angle. Notice what those two segments create. It doesn't just create the yellow angle. When they intersect the circle, they also create this yellow arc. All right. So, Kaylin, what does this angle here have to be? 30. Inscribed angles are always 1/2 of the arc that they create. So if this yellow arc is 60, the yellow angle that created that arc has to be 1/2. And then C, for the third time today now, the rest of this arc here added with 60 and 180. All three of these better add up to be 360 because that gets us all the way around the circle. So the purple would be whatever is left of 360 once we get rid of the 60 and the 180. All right, anybody come up with that? What's that one? Talia, you get it? Good. It is 120 degrees. And then 120, 180, 60, add them all up, should give us our 360. All right. All right, next one. See what we think. Go through that. What time we got here? Probably maybe do one, maybe two more. So I'll give you 2 minutes or so. See if we can go all the way through that. This one I think is very fair. It'll make you think, but it's fair. I think we hopefully can make a good effort at this. The key is understanding letter A. If you get A, I think the rest of them will fall in place. All right. Here's a little hint if you haven't gotten far yet. This segment M to B goes right through the center of this circle. So what we have to understand then is MB is your diameter. It cuts the circle in half. So what has to happen is this entire arc right here has to be 180 degrees. The whole purple section is 180. Well, if you then look, we have 46 degrees accounted for right here. You have 95 degrees accounted for right here. So now we would be taking a semicircle of 180. Let's subtract away the 95. All right, so that is what? 585. Let's then subtract away the 46. That is 39. Doesn't that have to be the little segment here that's left over, the arc that's left over? So this has to be a 39-degree angle. All right. Now, you needed to know that one to answer letter B. Once we now know this, look at AMS. Let me clean this up a little bit here. So angle AMS is this angle right here. Notice that creates this arc. We know the arc is now 39 degrees. This is an inscribed angle. This is always half of the arc that it creates. So half of 39 should have been 19.5. All right, and then actually C we could have done right away. C is probably the easiest of all of them because we could do this right away. So answer C real quick if you haven't already. So find the angle AMB. Determine what kind of angle that is, inscribed or central. And then determine how we figure it out. All right. A and B is this angle here. Look at the arc that it creates, right? That creates its own arc. We know the degree measure of that arc is 46. So, Victoria, the angle has to be what? Good, 23. If it's inscribed, it's half of that arc. Okay? All right, let's do one more. Yeah, we'll do 5 real quick. Yeah, because it's a good little review. One more of these. Do A. No work in A. Just answer that question. See if we know this rule or not after now our second day of doing it. So find arc AC, and then tell me what the degree measure of that would have to be. Actually, do all of those. I think this might be, hopefully at this point, a nice easy one all the way through. So see if we can get all 3 of those. You can leave class today understanding 5, and you've got the gist of it down. And then as you guys, if you start wrapping up, I'm going to give you a little homework or check here on your Chromebook on Canvas. So if you're wrapping up, you need to pull that out and get that guy fired up. All right, about 30 more seconds, and then we'll see if we can get this. This is a nice one to kind of wrap up with together because I think it's a fair one relative to some of the ones that we've done. Okay, let's see what we got here. Letter A, I want the arc of AC. All right. And what we got here? Ellie, what do you think, Ellie? Good, 130 degrees. That arc is created by this angle right here. It's a central angle. The angle and the arc are the same degree measure if it's a central angle. So that's 130. Then I ask you to find angle CAD. So here is angle CAD. It's this big yellow angle from C to A to D. And Marissa, did you get it, Marissa? What's that? Not sure yet. Anybody? What do you think? Talia? What is it? Good. That should be 65 degrees. So hopefully you got 65 degrees right here. Because this yellow angle with this segment and this segment create this yellow arc. So we have 2 angles right now that we focused on yesterday and today. The central angle was 130, keeps the same exact degree measure. This is an inscribed angle, and that's always half of the intersected arc. So she just basically took 130, cut it in half. That's where we get that 65 from. Okay? And then the last one then is the missing arc. So the missing arc is this, arc DA. We know this has to add up to be 360. So if I did 360 degrees, let's subtract away the blue arc. Let's subtract away the yellow arc. Whatever remains would be what's left over for the purple arc. All right, that's what, 100 degrees? All right, and then that's our answer. Okay, good. Okay, then at home, I kind of just told these guys to fire up their Chromebooks. A couple things first before you do anything. Don't do anything yet. The homework is 1 through 11. However, cross out, so go to number 6. Don't worry about E and F in number 6. So cross that out. And then go to number 9. And then cross that entire bad boy out. So any problem affiliated with number 9. The rest is your homework. We've already done half of that. So do what you can. Hopefully now we have some tools that we can use to get through this legitimately. Get that uploaded by midnight tomorrow night. If you had any questions, you're more than welcome to ask tomorrow at the beginning of class. From there, I just want to see if we know what we're now doing. You are looking for this on Canvas. It's 3 questions. Isn't today May 13th at 11:10 a.m.? Yeah, so you guys should be able to get on that right now. It's 3 questions. I'm only going to count it out of 2. So even the third one that I say is extra credit, when you click on it, it doesn't matter. If you get all 3 of them right, you get 3 out of 2. If you get 2 of the 3 correct, you'll get 2 out of 2. It'll be based out of 2 points. Okay? So click on this guy. Let's see what we know. I think 2 of them should be really nice. The third one is one that's a little bit harder, but I think we hopefully can get after doing this today. So do that. When you're at home, when you're done, you have 7 minutes. That's going to take us right to the bell. If you finish earlier than that, you're free to go either way. We just went live. Sort of. I mean, let me mute myself here. We went over the homework. So we know we'll do it. So we did the first 5 because, yes, it's the same stuff we did yesterday, but these are a little more involved in connections to each other. We have to do more on those. So this is what we did. If you want to leave on this,